Attention, attention. Arrival is imminent. All Lazars prepare to disembark. Sterilization is about to commence. An Unearthly Podcast welcomes you to Terminus, written by Stephen Gallagher and starring Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, Mark Strickson, and bidding a fond farewell to Sarah Sutton as Nissa. This is the 161st episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 15th of June, 2016. In addition to our normal review, we also have a quick Big Finish review of Short Trip Gardens of the Dead by Jenny T. Colgan and read by Mark Strickson as Turlo. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell,
Dabu,
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
always a pleasure,
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
Hello.
And the recorded thoughts of Tim the Enchanter Sheridan, who cannot be with us this evening.
Again.
Hell,
And this is like 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, this is 2 weeks in a row.
Maybe.
His job tends to get particularly busy in certain spots, so...
Yeah, I know. I'm not blaming him. I'm just, for people that actually listen to this, one after another, it's the second week he's not here, so we'll be basically doing the same thing we did last week. And hopefully he can join us next week. So we're going to hurry along because we have this micro review we're doing before the main review, and that's going to eat our time a little. And as you know, we tend to run right up to the end.
Yep.
So we're going to start with the news and birthdays. Fortunately, there's only one of note this week, and that is David Troughton, the son of Patrick Troughton, who turned 66 on Thursday, the 9th of June. Now, David Troughton has been on Doctor Who before. In the episode Midnight, he played the professor on the shuttle. He's also been repeatedly in Big Finish, including the current voice of the Black Guardian from their Key to Time trilogy, which we will be reviewing later in the season. Like, basically right when we're done with the Black Guardian series. So in 2 weeks.
There's also another memorable role he's from on Doctor Who.
He also was King Peladon and the Prisoner of Peladon in their Big Finish audio, and also appeared in the Five-ish Doctors reboot. Which were you thinking of, Matt?
I was thinking of when he was still Prince of Prince Peladon, but yeah. So he played it both on the show and the audio. That is true. He
was a lot in classic Doctor Who. He was first an extra in Enemy of the World, then a soldier in War Games, then King Peladon in Curse of Peladon. So he's had a very long, very big Doctor Who history, and is still going on. He's does a lot of theater acting. I don't know what he's been doing recently, but I'm actually shocked that. I'm sorry, Matt?
I'm sure somebody in the UK could tell us what he's up to.
I'm actually shocked that he's 66 already, because that would mean that, Patrick Troughton would have been in his 80s, and that just hurt. That depresses me slightly. All right, so let's move on. We do have some news from the developments of the Doctor Who and its spin-off, so take it away, Aaron.
Okay, so Class is going to be having a main character who is also homosexual. So Patrick Ness has revealed that Class will have a LGBT character as one of the lead. He's made a number of tweets, been asked if Class will have LGBT representation in it. Will a lead character with a boyfriend who he kisses and sleeps? Tweeted.
You've cut out at least twice now.
Yeah, you're sounding almost Cyberben.
So are you too, hon. And I don't know
why.
Here,
anyway, keep going.
I've got these I've got the stream going, so I'm going to shut down the stream quick.
Yeah, pause
I will
the
not
stream.
be able to keep track of it, though. All right, so continuing on with one of his other tweets, we are keeping that secret, but today that secret doesn't seem very important. Hashtag love wins. So obviously the, yeah. This is why I hate Twitter, because you can't really tell which tweet came first. It says that he added the love wins tweet afterwards, but, he had just revealed it beforehand, too. So Class is a spinoff of Doctor Who set in Coal Hill School. We are awaiting its arrival here in autumn, and hopefully, so this sounds like it'll be a nice little addition to the series. I'll be excited for it, as well as to see what's going on with some of the other characters. Additional news: Series 10 filming is beginning next week. As we keep reporting, it is coming up. Matt Lucas is going to be reprising his role as Nardo. He played that in the Christmas special, The Husbands of River Song. I believe he's on. No, never mind. Let me see here. Moffat is writing the first episode in the new series, which will be directed by Lawrence Bell. And then he's also, further writers are announced in the series: Sarah Dollard, who wrote the last year's Face the Raven; Mike Bartlett, writer for the multi-award Foster, and veteran Doctor Who writer Mark Gatiss. So, yes.
Gatiss has yet to write something we're pleased with. I will remind you that his last entry...
Except for, I believe you're a bit of a
season.
fan of his first Doctor Who entry.
His very early stuff, but anything he's been doing under Moffat has been really dragging the show down.
And I would argue that it might be tampering by Moffat.
I would say his best episode during the Moffat era is one that was 50% of it was actually written by David Whittaker.
Really?
Daleks.
Yeah. And even that was still kind of mediocre. But his last entry, Sleep No More, was really the only down note of the last series.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The only
Which, of
one
course,
that
it might be. I mean, we've mentioned a lot that Moffat can't handle both writing Sherlock and editing scripts for Doctor Who, really, producing or overseeing Doctor Who at the same time. And Gatiss, if anything, seems to be more involved in Sherlock than Moffat is, so it's possible that he just puts all of his energy and inspiration into Sherlock, and then it's just like, oh yeah, I guess I'll also write this Doctor Who episode.
So you think he just cranks one out and...
It might be.
Which again is the reason why BBC needs to separate these things. But BBC can't seem to learn that lesson.
Yeah,
so.
Well... I personally blame that on Moffat and Gatiss. If you're really going to be producing a show, you need to put 110% of your effort to that show.
Yeah, you shouldn't be
And then when you're
it.
done with that show, you put 110% of the effort into the next show. So the fact that they were working on Doctor Who and decided to start up Sherlock at the same time kind of is throwing a monkey wrench into things. And I don't know if they had Sherlock planned before they took over as Doctor Who, because if they did, they should have turned down show-running Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they made the decision, and BBC is being poorer for it and allowing them to continue like this, especially with their flagship.
Yeah, well, Moffat's standing down at the end of the next season, or at the end of the next series, so... After that, we're going to go to Chibnall, who just got done with his series that he put 10% of himself into.
And
that
was...
what was that? It was in America, it was Grace Point.
Oh God, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. My brain's just blanking on the name.
God damn it. The one with Tenet.
Yes.
Oh, Broadchurch.
Broadchurch. Yes, that's it.
Yep.
We're getting the Broadchurch guy for Doctor Who. Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
I couldn't remember whether his most recent was Broadchurch or Law and Order, so that's why I wasn't really saying anything at first.
And before Broadchurch, Chibnall was basically Russell T Davies' equivalent of Mark Gatiss. Was the guy he worked with a lot. Worked with on Torchwood and worked with on Sarah Jane Adventures, that kind of thing. So,
actually, he sounds more like he would have been the natural fit to begin with, but I guess he was busy with something else.
Well, everybody wanted Moffat because under Russell, Moffat wrote the greatest episodes of Doctor Who ever. He wrote 3-4 episodes, that were just absolutely mind-blowing. So he seemed to be the natural person to step up.
Little did we know that Russell did so many good things for his scripts, apparently.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, which moves us on to our awards section, starting with Harriet Jones, former Prime Minister. We know who she is. And she is now her actress, Penelope Wilton, who I believe we celebrated her birthday last week or the week before.
Last week.
Has been made a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, which is one of the higher ranks and one that definitely, I'm not sure if there's any difference between Dame and Knight, but is definitely, one of the ones that definitely has a title. It's not a question.
If you're entitled as a male, it's Sir.
Yeah.
If you're entitled as a female, it's Dame.
What I mean is there's like 5 ranks, and I think like different sources differ as to which ones get the Dame or Sir rank, whereas this is one of the higher ones. She definitely gets the title.
Yes, there's no contention there. She gets she is Dame Penelope Wilton, which is a mouthful.
Also recognized, another Doctor Who actor that was recognized as an officer of the Order of the British Empire is Brian Blessed, whose contribution to Doctor Who I believe is the one we'll be covering in several weeks.
In a few weeks, yes.
Brian Blessed! Can't say it with an indoor voice.
Because it's got, let's see, we've got this one next week.
Yeah.
3 episodes. 1 episode, and then we get to him.
Yeah. Yeah, because we picked up a few strays in between regular Doctor Who episodes.
Yeah, some little filler out.
Yep.
So, yep, Sir Brian Blessed
of the Hawkmen.
Okay, it does look like this. I was trying to see the what connection the next one had, but it looks like Janet Ellis, who appeared in The Horns of Nyman, was also the one who's made a member of the British Empire. So that's, I think, the lowest of those relevant ranks. So she does not get Dame, I don't think.
No. You also technically aren't supposed to use it if you are not a British citizen. I mean, you can be knighted because there's been a few Americans that have received that honor, but you cannot use that title when you go to the United States.
All right. Our next piece is that Peter Capaldi has been is in the ballot for an Emmy. I'm not sure if that's the same as having been nominated.
No, it's not.
Okay, so it's being nominated for a nomination, I guess.
He is on the first round list.
Yeah.
Which means right now he is sharing that list with quite a number of people.
Yep. So yeah, so he's nominated for a nomination essentially.
Yeah, he is on 109 names listed for the ballot for Best Drama. And
it looks
then
like Gold Derby and the award site for Hollywood places the odds at him receiving the nomination, so winning this round of ballots, at 14-1. I'm not sure if that's in favor or against, so I'm not sure what
it's
that
usually
means.
It's usually 14-1 against.
Ah.
Because what's going to happen is now that ballot's gone around, they're going to go around and basically cross names off the list until they get that list of 14 down to about 5. Maybe 6, and that's just going to keep doing the rounds. This is of note because this is the first time in the entire history of Doctor Who that it's even come up on the radar of the Emmy Awards.
It looks like the Doctor and Rassilon are both on it, if I'm recognizing my names properly.
The new Rassilon?
Timothy Dalton.
The Bond one, yeah.
Ah.
Like, unless I'm mixing up my Bonds. Timothy Dalton is Bond and Rassilon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also on the list is Michael Sheen, David Duchovny, Scott Bakula. What the hell has Scott Bakula done in the last year?
That's a good question.
I mean, David Duchovny recently came back to the X-Files, so that's probably why he's on the list. I'm not sure what Timothy Dalton's done in the last year.
Scott Bakula, IMDb. Because that's a question I'd like to know. I haven't seen him since Enterprise.
I know he's done a few things. I just didn't think he had done anything of note recently. I mean, I thought mostly what he had done was a few TV movies and shit.
Oh,
Well, if it's anything like the Oscars, they just nominate him because they recognize the name and not because of anything he's done.
He's been on NCIS for the last 2 years.
Oh,
NCIS
okay.
and NCIS New Orleans.
And that would be
that's
where
right.
it would be at NCIS New Orleans, because that's like, apparently that's doing pretty good. Better than NCIS Los Angeles did, anyway.
So that's probably it.
Yeah.
That's probably the reason.
But no, it's just, normally, the Emmys is a little national-centric. It's supposed to be for the world, but 90% of the time, it's U.S. productions that get the nominations. So the fact that this is the first time that Doctor Who has even come up on the radar is kind of interesting. And I don't see anything that Timothy Dalton's done on television since 2014, so I'm not sure why he's on the Emmy list. Oh, wait, no, he's in Penny Dreadful.
Oh.
Okay. I had to back up a bit because he had done a few.
Rassilon against Rose.
So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting list. Once they pare it down, and of course, the Emmys, like the Academy, people are going to be looking at them for seeing if they nominate all white people. Yeah, let's see. It was a Hugo Award for Capaldi last year, and this year now he's up for the Emmys. So this is progress, people.
We're getting somewhere.
All right, so moving on to the subject of books. Last week I was talking about how Candy Jar Books has been releasing prolifically. They have further information on one of their books, The Showstoppers, by Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah, we were wondering about that last week.
The Showstoppers is a novel that's playing out a major turning point in the life of Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart as he is rewarded for all of his hard work since the Web of Fear. So apparently this is where he gets the commission to create or become the head of unit. We still don't have much of a description other than that. So it's still, it looks interesting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Cooper. It was partially inspired by the film Doctor Strangelove. At the pitching stage, we even had Strangelove as the primary villain, with a neat little twist to tie the Kubrick film into the world of Lethbridge Stewart. But we soon moved beyond that, which gave the book a wider scope and allowed me to have a lot more fun with it. There's still a couple of sly references in there, though, including one bit towards the end that I hope readers are going to find particularly chilling. Huh. Well, now if I ever read this thing, you realize I'm going to be sitting here thinking of Doctor Strangelove. I'll be looking at the bad guy and envisioning Peter Sellers. Let's see. For day one, it has always been our intent to build up something of an ensemble cast of characters, with 4 main characters leading the way. That started with our licensed characters, Lethbridge Stewart and Anne Travers, complemented by our very own Corporal William Bishop, who first appeared in our initial release, The Forgotten Son. Now we're pleased to introduce Samson Ware to our readers, a very different character to any seen in the range before, and someone quite unique for a series set in the late 60s, early 70s. So, interesting. It is now still available to pre-order at Candy Jar Books, and those who do will receive the digital-only short story, The Band of Evil, as we mentioned last week. All right. Aaron, I believe you're up next.
Yes, I am. All right, so we've got some BBC audio Target adaptations to go over. We've got an update on Doctor Who and the Claws of Axos. This is going to be a 3-hour, 40-minute adventure, unabridged reading of the classic novelization, featuring the Third Doctor, played by John Pertwee on TV. Not quite sure it's going to be who it's going to be read by. Oh, Richard Franklin, yeah, and written by Terrence Dicks. So that's, if you're familiar with the serial, this is the novelization that is available in audiobook format.
And,
an additional...
I believe Richard Franklin is Mike Yates, if I'm not mistaken. Bill?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
That does sound right.
Well, hopefully he doesn't have to do any voices and he just can read.
Yeah.
And that's available 2nd of June. So it's already out. You can order it from Amazon UK. Doctor Who and the Sontaran Experiment, read by John Coleshaw. I'm not quite sure who that is, but written by Ian Marter. And that's going to be available July 7th, 2016. That's going to be a 4-hour
Ian Marter being Harry Sullivan
adventure.
the Idiot.
Uh-huh. It's written by him.
Coleshaw, is that C-U-L-S-H-A-W?
C-U-L-S-H-A-W, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
John
you said
with J-O-N.
written by Marter, not read by Marter?
It's
written by Marter.
By Ian
okay.
Marter. So, and yes, and this is another unabridged reading of the Fourth Doctor adventure from 1975.
Okay. John Coleshaw is an English impressionist, well known for doing a Tom Baker impression, which
Dead
he
Ringers.
did for the series Dead Ringers.
Yes.
He
Awesome.
has been known to call up various actors playing the Doctor, doing his Tom Baker voice, including Tom Baker and Sylvester McCoy, who absolutely mistook him for Tom.
Hello, Tom. It's me, Tom.
No,
Hello,
it was like literally. He does it as the Doctor.
Hello, Doctor. It's me, the Doctor.
Tom Baker just played along with it because he's freaking Tom Baker.
And he loves
Sylvester
it anyway.
sounded really confused and said, "Tom, have you been down to the pub?"
Oh, poor Sylvester McCoy.
If you YouTube Dead Ringers, Doctor Who, you'll probably find a few of these.
I think he's also done some live stuff where he actually dresses up like the Fourth Doctor and goes running about.
He's done it a couple of times, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one time, didn't he take out a Cyberman with a fluffy pillow? At like a furniture store or something? Anyway.
Alright, so to continue, we've also got Doctor Who, the Makra Terror, written by Ian Stewart Black and read by Aniki Wills.
So that would be Polly.
Yep, And that's the unabridged reading of one of Patrick Troughton's classic Doctors, Second Doctor Adventures, lasting about 3 hours and 5 minutes. After that, we Who and the Invasion of Time, written by Terrence Dix.
It's read by John Leeson. I hope it's his canine voice.
Oh, yes.
If there's a canine thing in there, John Leeson will do his canine voice.
No, I'm just saying, could you just imagine if the whole 4-hour story is him as canine?
Canine reads a
he walked up to the door.
I don't know. That might actually break me for 4 hours. If he...
It would be hilarious, though.
Jeez.
We'd have to make a special out of it at somewhere in GeekCon just to drive people crazy. Or to giggles, either way.
The Doctor exited the TARDIS.
Master exited the TARDIS for an extended period of time, during which the mistress decided to take a bath. Yes.
Hey, you just hear like little motors running.
I couldn't do that for 4 hours.
Oh my god, an entire adventure written from Canine's point of view.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the leeway since he's supposed to be reading the actual book, so...
Yeah.
Alright, so and then the final one is Doctor Who, the Time Meddler. The reader is to be announced, written by Nigel Robinson. And of course, this is one of the first Doctor adventures featuring the meddling monk. It's another 4-hour length story, so
they're probably going to get the guy that does Steven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the
Peter
few
Purvis,
that's still alive.
Yeah, I was going to say, try to find someone from that particular time area. That'd be Steven.
Not sure if the monk is still alive, but that would be an odd choice.
Peter Purvis would be better, the guy who played Steven, because not only is he still alive, he's still active within the community.
Right.
And has been known to do voiceover readings before.
Right.
So I suspect that's who that's going to be, but that's not official.
Right. And this was one with Vicky. I'm trying to remember if she was still... I can't remember her actress off the top of my head.
It's either Vicky or Dodo. Vicky, I don't believe, is alive.
Oh, wait, no. It's not Dodo because Dodo was post-master plan. This was pre-master plan. So this would be Vicky.
So the closest one would be Steven then. Do we even know who Dodo's actress is and if she's even still around?
No, Maureen O'Brien is still around.
Yeah.
And she's the one that played Vicky.
Yeah.
But she's retired.
I knew she had done a few companion chronicles at least a few years ago, so I didn't think she was dead, but okay.
Yeah, poker with a stick and see if she's still willing to do it.
Yeah, so that's probably it's probably a negotiation as to which one of them they'll get.
Yep. Which one of you is more available more quickly?
Or both if we're very lucky, but I tend to doubt it. BBC Audio doesn't do a lot of dual actor things.
It'd be amazing though. I don't have Facebook open. I'm not sure what that was.
Don't worry about it now. Let's move on.
Yeah. Which brings us to Big Finish. Continuing with audio. We have our current releases. We start with the Fourth Doctor Adventures, The Trouble with Drax, featuring Lala Ward as Romana, Tom Baker as the Doctor, John Leeson as K9, and a regenerated Drax.
Because, of course, the original actor is dead.
Right. We read the blurb of this not that long ago, including the fact that Drax mistakes Romana for Princess Astra instead of being Romana.
Which would make sense.
Yep. Yeah. Don't really have time to go through blurbs and everything, but that's out now. Also out now is the big event for the ongoing trilogy that's been going on in the main range, The Two Masters. We haven't read the blurb to this one yet, though, I don't think, right?
I don't know.
So I'll go through that one because I know it wasn't familiar to me, so I don't think we've read it before. The future is dying. All over the universe, gaps are beginning to appear. From the space lanes terrorized by the ragtag remnants of the once mighty Rocketmen to the empire of the Gorlons stricken by a terrible civil war. Gaps in space-time, portents of the end of everything. Only three beings might prevent it. The Doctor, a renegade Time Lord from Gallifrey. The Master, another renegade Time Lord from Gallifrey. And another Master, yet another renegade Time Lord from Gallifrey. One Doctor, two Masters. What could possibly go wrong?
So much. So much.
So everything could go wrong.
They team up to fight the Doctor, only to end up fighting each other, I bet.
Over who gets to kill the Doctor.
Anybody else, every time they look at the Alex McQueen Master, think Lex Luthor? Or is it just me?
Oh, yeah. He looks a lot like Lex.
Yes, he does. That would actually be kind of funny. Master crash lands on a world and takes up the identity of Lex Luthor.
Only for another alien from another planet to constantly invade and in on his plans.
Would suddenly make a lot of sense in some ways and not make sense in others, but still.
All right, in our upcoming
Superman,
news,
pleased to meet you. I am the Master, and you will obey me. Why didn't that work? Ow.
In our news for upcoming stories, it has been announced that Matthew Waterhouse, best known to Doctor Who listeners as Adric, will be joining the main range. He's previously appeared in both short trips and Fourth Doctor adventures. He will now be appearing in at least one trilogy with Peter Davison, Sarah Sutton, and Janet Fielding.
Oh my God.
Which will appear... Okay, they will first appear in the Fifth Doctor box set, and then in the main range, starting with Doctor Who The Starmen by Andrew Smith, who also wrote Adric's debut story Full Circle, which we covered not long ago. This will continue with The Contingency Club, written by Phil Mulrine, set within an exclusive Victorian Gentlemen's Club, and Zoltis by Matthew J. Elliott. This will be a 2017 trilogy and is available for pre-order.
Adric has gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Welcome to joining Doctor Who in the 70s.
Yep.
Or I guess it was the early 80s. It might have been
early
80.
80s.
It was 80 or 81, yeah. All right. Next up is some extras have been announced for the Second Doctor Adventures. Let's see. I'm sorry, the Companion Chronicles Second Doctor Volume 1, to be more precise, which will get extra content in the form of all 4 scripts as PDF downloads and a 24-minute music suite download specifically assembled by composer Benji Clifford. Producer Ian Atkins says, one of the constant pleasures of putting the set together was hearing that final edit as Benji's music was put in place, bringing everything together, letting me hear how it was truly all going to sound. Benji's music is just gorgeous, bringing out the scares in some places, jerking a tear or two in others, and I asked him if he'd be okay with us making the pieces available as an extra. He went one further, taking the time to assemble them into a suite that takes you through this entire 4-story set. I couldn't be more grateful to him, and I hope listeners enjoy it as much as I have. Hearing this suite reminded me of being back in the 1980s with my Doctor Who The Music album never quite leaving the turntable. And this set is available later this month.
Okie doke.
And our final piece of Big Finish news is in the trailer department. The trailer for Unit Shutdown has been released.
I heard you listening to it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did listen to it earlier. I didn't really come up with anything worth really mentioning. There is an agent working on behalf of apparently the Queen of England. Other than that, that's really all I got from the trailer. But if you want to check it out, it is available on BigFinish.com. It does feature Kate Stewart and Osgood, as well as apparently the new aliens, the Tengobushi, a mysterious cast of alien warriors whose reasons for arriving on Earth are linked to a dangerous new initiative. And, the Unit Shutdown features 4 stories written by Matt Fitton and Andrew Smith, and can be pre-ordered today for its release later this month.
And that, as they say, is that.
Indeed.
Did we want to cover one more thing really quick before we went on, or do we want to skip that until next time?
What's that?
Warcraft.
That's next on the list.
Okie doke.
Mm-hmm.
So we're entering our general chit-chat section, and as Matt was about to say, at least 3 of us has seen the Warcraft movie. Myself, Aaron, and Matt. I do not know if Bill has seen it or cares to.
I have not, and I'm not. There are 3 movies ahead of that on my list that I still haven't gotten to, so I probably will not be seeing it.
'Tis a shame.
Overall, the 3 people I went to see it with, including myself, Aaron, and our friend Chris, all liked it. We all agree it was a bit slow in a couple of places, but not so much that you got actively bored. This is coming from 2 people that are Warcraft fans and me, who's not really, and it still held my interest for the entire length of the movie. The CGI is good. The orcs look nice. They did a really good job with that. The story is understandable. If a bit wordy in some places. And yeah, basically it's a good movie. It's a lot better than Batman v Superman. It's better than X-Men Apocalypse. It's kind of probably on the same level to me as Ninja Turtles was, maybe a little lower.
Well, which, by the way,
like
my friend Fred, who I went to Warcraft with, he said he saw Ninja Turtles on a random listing. Apparently, he and his wife had gone to Florida and they saw Batman v Superman, and it was doubled up with Ninja Turtles, and Ninja Turtles was far better.
Yeah, it is far better. Right now, for the movies we've seen this year, the top 2 movies are Deadpool and Civil War, both of which are near perfect movies. Then you've got the mid-upper range, which is Ninja Turtles and Warcraft. And then you've got the middle of the road, which is X-Men Apocalypse. And then you've got Ugh, which is Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Definitely enjoyed Warcraft. The artwork, the detail that went into animating the characters was fantastic. I loved how they portrayed magic and stuff like that, with the incantations and the symbols kind of flowing around their hands and forming geometric patterns. And it was all very intricate, all very artsy and kind of thought out. And of course, it's Warcraft, so the colors are bright and colorful, and it's not kind of this dull kind of gray that some movies tend to have.
It's realistic and yet painterly at the same time.
Yeah.
I would
And
also
it's-
add that after
yeah.
seeing the movie, I've seen the behind the scenes.
Try
and-
again, Matt.
God damn it. So,
Remember, classic
yeah,
listening voice.
let me speak. I after seeing the movie, I've also seen a behind the scenes that was apparently released by the BBC on YouTube. And apparently, even when it came to spells, they actually had like reflective devices hidden on their arms. So there was actually stuff on screen being represented for the spells. And of course, all the orcs were all people in the motion capture suits and everything. So no matter what was going on screen, there was at least something there for people to react to. And also with the spells, the reflective things that they had there also cast a lot of lights, so it also helped with the lighting of the movie as well.
All right. But yeah, if you're a Warcraft fan, Warcraft the movie is probably a must-see. And that is if you're a fan of the classic 3 Warcrafts or World of Warcraft, because this is a movie that is starting a franchise.
And homages both.
It will go through Warcraft. The next one will cover Warcraft 2. The one after that, Warcraft 3. And then you're going to start getting into World of Warcraft stories. If they don't do prequels. You never know. But either way,
I'm sure the third game will be split into 2 movies because that's the thing to do nowadays.
Yeah, except for the fact that they still got more movies after that.
Yeah.
They still, I mean, you know, they can do the 3 movies, that they can do World of Warcraft, and they can do a movie for about every World of Warcraft expansion.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
And they can all find a way to link it all together and make it work. And that means that they could basically be making these movies till the end of time.
And yet they still don't have the Old Republic movie.
Give Disney time. They've just started. But if you're not a Warcraft fan, but you are fond of things like Lord of the Rings, this is still a good movie to go see.
If you're
because it does have that sword and sorcery high fantasy setting style, which will appeal to you, and it's a fairly intriguing story.
And not just Lord of the Rings. If you're a fan of like really good fantasy movies in general, it'll still keep your attention.
Speaking of fantasy and things like Lord of the Rings, I do have something I want to mention before we go into the episodes proper.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you done with Warcraft, or do you have more to...
Yes.
Okay.
We're pretty good.
So after doing some intensive marathoning over the past few weeks, I am now caught up in Game of Thrones.
Okay, that makes you the only person on this chat that is.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to go into spoilers anyway, but...
Aaron's 2 seasons behind, and I'm still in season 2.
I will say that my verdict thus far is that it, in many ways, is similar to what Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings, in the sense of expanding on some things and chopping others out. I do feel it had a similar negative effect on the mythology, but I do think that Game of Thrones has been a better and more enjoyable adaptation than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings in their entirety.
Well, mind you,
partially because it's been, almost 60 hours now as compared to the 10 hours that Lord of the Rings was. Or no, I'm sorry, probably 20 hours that The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings were. But so that's definitely going to be part of it.
Well,
but I just do feel this has been more successful in general.
The people that are making Game of Thrones also have the chance to work directly with George R.R. Martin, as opposed to Peter Jackson, who the creator of all the stuff he's working with has been dead for many, many years, and he has to make assumptions based on that kind of thing. In fact, George R.R. Martin has said about the HBO Game of Thrones that they're doing a better job than he did.
There are a few subplots where I agree with that. There are a few that I definitely do not.
And you're subject to your own opinion on that. And
There are a few changes that they made to who said what about what that I don't agree with, because I liked the way it was written better.
Right. Specifically, there are a few customers. I mean, not customers. Wow. A few characters where all of their development was cut because they just didn't feel that plot was important enough to show get a lot of time on the TV. And there were a few areas where the mythology they just didn't feel like explaining it properly, and it kind of just becomes a rushed thing with less of an interesting fantasy background as a result.
Well, that's always going to happen in an adaptation. They have to gauge it for a screen appearance. And then break it into...
That's part of why I was comparing it to Lord of the Rings, because the same thing happened with everything related to Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, let it go, Bill. Let it go.
But Marigold.
I have to hear this all the time from our local Lord of the Rings fanatic. You're really just rehashing some very old ground with me. Not to mention the fact that I've played Lord of the Rings online and want Tom Bombadil to die in a fucking fire.
I'm just saying it's comparable things happen to parts of Martin's mythology as happened to that.
Tom Bombadil can go suck a giant dick. Okay? I hate Tom Bombadil with a passion. And if you've ever played through that portion of Lord of the Rings online, you'd hate him too. And apparently Matt's losing his shit.
It's because all your pain.
Online.
Tom Bombadil, the prancy bastard, in his golden boots. Get back here.
Freaking
dude.
He's going to spend the next couple of weeks.
Did you just say he has golden bits?
Boots.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm like, so...
He'll spend the next couple of weeks.
Gold and Tom Bombadil has it for his bits?
Oh. Tom Bombadil and his swinging golden junk. Okay, I'm done with this conversation now.
Yes. Let's move on to back to
so much.
Yes,
Family
all
show.
right. So I believe everyone here has listened to the audio Gardens of the Dead, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick kind of final thought of what you thought of it. So, bringing my die roller out, and we will continue this pattern through the thing. Did Tim see if he did, or did he just mention
No, he
Terminus?
said he did not have time to listen to it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he realized that it was a short trip or not, but either way, when he posted, it was too late for him to.
All right. We will chastise him later.
I made time
Are we giving a summary for this?
That's
No.
We're
it is
just
too
gonna
short,
Yeah.
short
and
opinions.
we have too little time.
And it was
So-
$2.99 American for U.S. buyers, or was it more than that?
It was not very much. I
So-
believe it was $2.99. That sounds about right.
So about $3, people.
Okay, so Bill, go ahead and give your thought on it.
First, huh?
What did I say? It rolled a 4 out of 6. So
All right. I mostly like this story. I did have a few things that I particularly did not like, such as the way that they kept it from interfering with the established canon. I kind of felt that was a cop-out, but I did think the rest of the story was pretty well done. Are we giving ratings at the same time?
no, we'll give it full follow-up with ratings.
Okay.
All
So-
right. Is that all you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think so, since we're keeping it brief.
All right. Come on.
And by the way, I don't think we've actually straight up established this, but this is an audio that's a direct sequel or directly follows at the end of Modern Undead, and is before Terminus, but it does lead just as much gap for future stories to be injected in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, Matt, go ahead.
I liked the story. I didn't find too many problems with it. It was also nice to see more details from Terlo's point of view, which is kind of important because his character is kind of the one that lacks a lot of development at this point. Also really enjoyed the music, very much of the 80s ilk from the show at the time.
All right. Aaron?
One thing I did forget to mention, I was walking down the street listening to it, and when he mentioned how Australians naturally talk, I laughed out loud at that scene. If we were doing a full review, that would have been my favorite scene, because that and the lines surrounding it in general were funny. Go ahead, Aaron.
I enjoyed his read. I thought it was I think he reads it really well, or not reads, but he acts it out very well. I also enjoy kind of the concept of the Gardens of the Dead being created through dust, seeing images of your fallen friends and whatnot. And I also like I kind of like the whole virus aspect too, although it doesn't quite make sense. They would have to go through some heavy-duty decontamination in order to make sure it wasn't spread too far and wide.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I thought it was okay. It wasn't anything extra special to me. I listened to it. I agree with Bill in the fact that I didn't like how they had to basically reset Nissa's mind to keep it in continuity. I thought that was a bit of a cop-out. But it was read well, so that part was good to me. So I think it was kind of so. All right, so Bill, rating.
For a short trip, I will say a 4 out of 5.
All right, Matt.
I'm a 4 as well.
Aaron.
I would give it a 4.
All right, and I will give it a 3.5. Which gives us
3.8?
3.9 essentially 3.9. For Gardens of the Dead. It's 3.875 rounded up.
And that's, again, recognizing it as a short trip, because if you were to compare it to a full-length story, it would not be as successful. But for a short 30-minute audio, that's where these scores are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to move on from Gardens of the Dead. That's our review of it in brief. And we are going to go to Terminus, our 5-minute challenge. Does anyone want to do it? I can take it.
I did it last week.
I don't think anyone wants me to do it.
All right.
Randy doesn't want you to
So
do
load up the stopwatch, Matt.
Stopwatch. Ready. So, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So, Turlo, acting under the instructions of the Black Guardian, decides to try to rip out part of the TARDIS controls in the heart of the TARDIS. This causes the TARDIS to begin to destabilize and break up. As an emergency precaution, it latches onto a nearby traveling spaceship, and Nyssa, who was caught in part of the breakup, manages to cross over onto the ship. The Doctor goes after her, followed shortly by Tegan and Turlo, who manage to get lost on the ship. The Doctor eventually finds Nyssa, but themselves get lost on the ship, just as space pirates try to raid the ship for its valuables. This turns out to be a particularly stupid idea, because this ship isn't a ship with valuables or wealth or anything. It's a plague ship, full of people having Lazar's disease, and is on its final approach to their destination, Terminus, which is a hospital in name only. It is basically a frozen ship full of slave labor who are forced to work to get their dose of hydrolove, which is what they use to stay alive. The ship is, of course, once docked, is purged of its Lazars. They're all board onto Terminus, and sterilization begins. Well, that's a cue for the Doctor and Nyssa to leave. Unfortunately, Tegan and Turlo are caught in the bowels of the ship and can't leave. But the sterilization fortunately misses them. Not really good work with sterilization there, let me tell you people. Having teamed up with the pirates who got ditched by their ride, they all decide to head for the TARDIS. But on the way, Nyssa feels ill and is recognized that she has the beginnings of Lazar's disease. A drone who is scanning the ship for any stragglers grabs Nyssa and takes her on board Terminus. One of the pirates, Olvir, decides to follow. Meanwhile, of course, the Doctor and the other pirate, whose name escapes me, crosses over onto the ship as well and is seen by the Veneer, the slave labor, and are thought to be agents for the company. They quickly cross into a forbidden zone where recently one of the Veneer had gone into thinking the readings were rising, meaning the radiation on board the ship, because radiation is what they use to cure the disease. The Veneer, however, care little about this except for his one friend, mostly due to the fact that they're busy with their own plight. However, agents for the company is a matter of concern, and they send, after an argument between him and their leader, one of the members to track them down, offering the leader's title to him if he succeeds. The Doctor and the pirate soon find the missing Veneer, Bors, who has been injured badly and has warned the Doctor that the engines are about to blow. Following his advice, and after a quick fight with the other Veneer, they come across the control center where they discover the ship is on a build-up to basically dump its fuel and cause a huge explosion, which would be the Big Bang Part 2. The Doctor realizes that the only way to shut it down is to enlist the help of one of the other slaves on board, a giant dog-like creature called the Garm. He manages to take the device to summon the Garm and convinces him to shut down the engines. The Garm had also recently processed Nyssa, exposed her to the radiation, and brought her to a recovery area, and Nyssa is now absolutely determined to make this into a proper hospital. The Garm helps the Doctor shut down the engines, the Doctor shuts down the computer, and then makes a deal with the Veneer to help Nyssa turn it into a hospital. Nyssa decides to stay behind and help with that process, thinking that she can synthesize the hydrolove they need to stay alive and make them free, independent from the company. After a sad farewell, the Doctor, reunited with Tegan and Turlo, goes upon their merry way. The end.
All right. So a few seconds off on that. So you managed that in 4 minutes. And I'd say, shaving off those couple of extra seconds, 42 seconds.
So I made it just under the wire.
Just.
Well, I did make some color commentary in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, scenes that you liked, and we were starting with Bill.
I mean, general aspects of the episode.
General that I liked. Sorry, my brain skipped ahead. Sorry.
Actually, we're going to start with Tim, I think, right?
Yes, let's start with Tim.
And
just in time for the 11:30 train. Go past train, go.
Yep.
Go.
I was actually hoping the train would continue long enough for the spinning ball of not letting me read to finish. So I'm going to start with mine while I wait unless somebody wants to read Tim that does not have a spinning ball.
Let me see if I can grab it.
Okay.
Okay, I got it. What he liked. Tib, the costumes and makeup in this episode were amazing. I especially liked the bubble helmets of the space pirates. If only they had worn them more. The look of the armor of the veneer was also very intelligent. And also, by the way, not planned for combat. The person that designed the armor, when I hear that they were going to use it for combat, was absolutely horrified.
Oh.
Yeah, it was there. There was a comedy of errors in the production behind this. They had a power outage, I believe, their first day of filming, which put them horribly behind schedule. And then some of the props and sets were not exactly what they had originally planned for. But go on, Bill. What about you? What did you like?
I'm going to say the general atmosphere of hopelessness. It really felt like you were in, essentially, a place that you're sent to die when you have the plague. And I feel like that was done pretty successfully.
Yeah, this was kind of the leprosy meets cancer as what I would define the Lazarus disease as. Leprosy because that's what they seem to be treated like, lepers, and cancer because you're using radiation to try to cure it. And it was kind of a good analogy for both in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, how about you? What you liked?
Oh, what I liked in general. Tim kind of took mine with the costumes. I really liked the costumes. They looked very nice. A lot of them. Trying to think anything else in general I really liked. Well, I mentioned it in the last one. I'll mention it in this one too. I liked the music a lot of the times when they were in the 80s. I liked some of their background music, and I do recall liking what I heard for this one too. It also really helped with a lot of the mood in this.
Yeah. Who was the composer for this?
I'm not sure. I assume they had at least one person per season, or at least one per story.
I'm not sure. Sometimes it would be different people. Roger Lim looks like was the composer for this. And of course, he was part of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. He also did. Incidental music for Keeper of Traken, for the Doomsday, Black Orchid, Time Flight, Arc of Infinity, Terminus, The Caves of Androzani, and Revelation of the Daleks.
Nice.
So, pretty much right through the end of the Sixth Doctor era, or at least right up to the trial.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what would happen is the incidental music would go to the Radiophonic Workshop, and they would decide someone to work on it, who was free at this point.
And he happened to be their guy once in a while for Doctor Who, and it turns out that he did some of the better episodes.
Yep.
Funny that.
All right, Aaron, how about you? What did you like?
I actually kind of like the sets. I liked how they kind of varied, with Tegan and Turlo getting stuck in the air ducts and the really tight crawly spaces, whereas you've got Nis and the Doctor running around up and down stairs and all through these corridors, these winding passageways, and then they did a pretty good job at marking off what the Forbidden Zone was, having that, kind of flagged as a place that you don't want to cross over into. I mean, you're not going to see the radiation, but it gives a good sense of.
This is an area you don't want to cross into.
Yeah, and it does kind of add to the atmosphere of abandonment and just kind of darkness.
Okay.
I really like.
Those tight cramped sets were actually tight cramped sets, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
They mentioned that with some really hot work.
Yeah, I was gonna say those air vents in particular are actually really well done. I don't recall anything quite like that at the time for at least a long while.
All right. So what I liked the Garm. The actual behind the scenes said they thought that the actual outfit was stupid. I remember being impressed by it as a kid, and I'm still relatively impressed by it.
Yeah, I can see
like
there's
that
some
costume.
technical issues with it, but for what it is, it's really well done. It looks really good.
And whoever's acting in there manages to actually convey a great deal of emotion for basically what would be a styrofoam head with felt on it. The way he tilts his head and moves that head actually shows a great deal of who he had enormous acting talent.
To be able to act through all of that stuff and
good
actually
suit
make
actors.
character. Yeah, he's a very good suit actor.
It was apparently a man by the name of R.J. Bell, who unfortunately does not have a Wikipedia page.
Aw.
But I will say, good work. I totally bought the character. I know some people aren't going to like it, but, you know,
I thought
liked
he
it.
was pretty good too, yeah. They could have done much worse with that.
Okay, so what did you not like? And we'll start with Tim.
And I can read it this time.
All right.
He says, "The broken record. Kill the doctor. When are you going to kill the doctor? Why haven't you killed the doctor? Why aren't you killing the doctor now?" That was what the Black Guardian contributed nothing to the story and was just annoying.
I agree. This wasn't his best outing.
Yeah.
There were a couple of scenes where he's, where like, actually, I'll talk about that later.
One thing that I think might have helped this trilogy, looking at this, is if the Black Guardian was more kept as a mysterious voice that doesn't I'm lacking the I'm not pulling to my mouth the word that I mean to say, but he doesn't doesn't actually come to form until the culmination of the trilogy. Like if he was more of a sinister whisper that you can't really place whose voice it is until the end of the trilogy.
Unfortunately,
like having
they didn't.
more of a reveal, like a surprise reveal. It's the Dark Guardian, the
Right.
Black Guardian the whole time.
Yeah.
It would have been, that might have been better, but unfortunately they didn't do it with Modern Undead, so at this point they had to do something. And yeah, I'm actually going to cover a little more on this with what I did not like, because it's part of a larger issue for me.
Okay.
And I'll talk about that in a bit, so go ahead and mention yours, Bill.
I'm going to say what I didn't like is that the whole plot of Tegan and Turlo being trapped in the grating, it just felt like, oh, we need Tegan and Turlo to be somewhere in this episode.
Yes,
but they
that was
actually don't
actually
contribute
what I was
to
going
the
to
plot.
cover.
God, that was
So
going to
they're
be
just
mine
going
too.
to sit here and, try not to die.
God, now I need to come up with
Basically,
something
they
else.
put them on a bus for the duration of the episode. It's like, yeah,
And then kept cutting back
occasionally,
to the bus just to remind us it was there.
yeah. It really felt like, yeah, we really don't have anything for them to do in this episode, so we're just going to write them being stuck for like 2 full episodes plus a little more. I mean, the only thing that they contributed to the plot was when Turlo pulled out that device and caused the entire ship to shake, which shook the station and started it on its build-up to detonation. And I'm just like, that was kind of not necessary. So that was going to be my issue, is the whole thing with the Black Guardian, everything. It's all just basically keeping Turlo and Tegan occupied while everyone else covers the main plot. And you said, Matt, that was yours too?
Yeah, that was going to be mine too.
How about you, Aaron? Did you have anything else you didn't like?
I didn't like Olivar.
Really?
I thought he
Oliver?
was a rather he was a little bit of a useless protagonist. He seemed to be running away from everything. He seemed to, he tried to rescue Nissa after, giving her up to the probe drone.
Yeah,
And
he's
that I was
pretty,
kind of a little frustrated with him as a
Well,
character.
pretty
Remember the
ineffectual.
fact that they revealed that his sister had the disease. And I think, the thing is, he is this mercenary, this combat trained, but he's a rookie. And now he's coming up against what his greatest fear is, and that's this disease that took his sister away from him.
I mean, they did say he's trying to overcome this, but it's still...
I don't think they acted it out particularly well, but that was supposed to be the problem, was he was fighting his own fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, what we didn't like was pretty much all the same thing. So let's move on to favorite scenes, and
Which might also be why they were getting rid of a member of the TARDIS in this serial, because there were just too darn many of them to keep them active.
Mm-hmm.
that they actually say in the behind the scenes is that they were having problems trying to write everyone into the story.
That's why they got rid of Adric in the first place.
And then they added Turlo, and then they got rid of Nyssa, who, by the way, didn't want to leave, but they basically just decided not to renew her contract.
Ow. You assholes.
I love how they do it right after they added Turlo. I think they were worried that after having, a few seasons where they had a male companion, they were worried about not having a male companion. And they wanted to reduce it to one male, one female. Instead of, the Doctor going around with a couple of girls like he's some flying space pimp.
Not helped by the fact that
I don't think the Fifth Doctor could pull off Space Pimp. Maybe the Sixth Doctor.
I don't know. I'm trying to imagine Peter Davidson now with a purple hat.
See, when you say
and
flying around with a
feather
couple
on
girls
it,
as a Space Pimp, I'm actually kind of picturing like either a mix of Tom Baker and Zaffa Beeblebrox.
Oh, Tom Baker could pull off Space Pimp.
Yeah.
Tom Baker could definitely pull off.
He would just need a
Space
cane.
Pimp. Yes. It's making me laugh, but yeah. David Tennant could pull off Space Pimp.
Yes.
I don't know. Capaldi may be too angry for Space Pimp.
Capaldi would be the one. Yeah, Capaldi would be the Space Pimp that you don't go back to unless you have your money.
Okay. All right. So, favorite scene. We're starting with Tim.
Yes. Tim says he loved the scene where the Doctor and Nyssa meet and help Bohr. It was very charming.
Wasn't that actually the Doctor and the pirate?
Quite possible.
Huh?
Who is Bohr?
Bohr was the one, the Veneer that went into the zone first.
Okay.
The one that was concerned about
Nyssa,
the
I
levels.
think that was the Doctor and the female pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have problems with the names of people in here.
Um,
Kari was the name of the other pirate. Yeah.
Kari. Okay.
And so I thought it was the Doctor and Kari that met Bohr.
Yeah.
Because Nyssa had gone with Ulvir.
And was currently captured.
It does look like it does look like they're the ones that interacted with him.
It's possible he just didn't remember, right?
Unless he means the scene at the end where she was agreed to make the medicine for them. I don't know if Bohr was actually in that scene or
Bohr
not.
was
Not
there, but he
particularly.
wasn't
It's
really
mentioned
an
on
active
his
participant.
Yeah, he was in bed the
Okay.
entire time.
Except for the scene where they face off against the leader. He got out of bed long enough for that.
Gotcha.
Because he had just gotten some
he
hydrolel.
was that like older, frail one, right?
Yeah, he was the one that had most of it with the burn down one side of his face.
The one that had like the memory issues and whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
short-term
Yeah, okay.
memory's always the first to go.
Right.
Yeah, that was Bohr.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Bohr. He was the one with the porno mustache.
Yep.
Yeah. He literally looked like he came right out of Sergeant Pepper's band and then got beaten the hell out of and put into space.
All right. So I'm sure somebody's going to take umbrage to this and have wanted this scene, but I feel like Nissa's departure scene was a very strong, emotionally successful scene.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
She actually got to speak with everybody on the TARDIS and say her goodbyes. And
this
everything.
was actually one of the better companion departures because they lead up to it a bit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out of the blue. I'm leaving now, Doctor.
Right.
No, you get the feeling.
She didn't meet somebody in the hospital that she just had to marry.
Mm-hmm. It was more, she came out of it and realized what was going on and knew they needed help. And that she had at least the medical knowledge to turn it right. It was probably one of the best, like I said, best companion departures ever. It wasn't just thrown in your face.
Yeah.
And it was very touching and very emotional. And yes, damn you, Bill, for taking it.
Yeah, you took it from me too. I have
All right.
something to add though.
Matt, well, you can add on yours because it's Matt's turn.
All right, I would also like that scene, but it wasn't actually my main one. Actually, the first one that I came up with was a very doctorish scene. It's the scene where they're on the ship's bridge and they're trying to talk the pirates down out of being overly violent against them after the pirates are now all obviously abandoned here. And just the Doctor sitting there talking common sense to them calmly and getting them to understand the situation and that we need to start fixing things.
It's one of the scenes that really is kind of indicative of Peter Davidson's Doctor, because the other ones might have gone in other directions on there.
It varies from Doctor to Doctor, but it is something that a very level-headed Doctor would have done. Just put those guns away. You know better. You're no position to be trying to do this. Now let's talk like normal, level-headed human beings, shall we?
All right, so Aaron, you had more to add on that particular scene?
Yeah, I do have a little bit more to add on to Nissa's departure, in that we do like a few moments before I believe she tackles Oliver or something like that. She tackles one of the people, and it kind of reminds me how she kind of goes from Keeper of Traken, where she's kind of this innocent little kind of scientist princess, and now she's capable of taking care of herself. Really, she can defend herself. She can navigate her way around Terminus, and she can she can definitely find a solution to their problems. So.
Yeah, that was the scene where he walks in on her while she's... It would have been nice if she had been able to
stay around long enough to force some sort of conclusion to the Ainley Master.
Oh, yeah, that would have been nice.
That would have been preferable, yeah. But, the scene you're talking about is when the pirate gets in after she's been in the recovery room.
Well, technically, with the Ainley Master at this point, I thought they were pretty sure he was dead.
Let's see.
Or actually, no, they weren't because of Time Flight. That's right.
Yeah, he had last appeared in Time Flight, so they pretty much knew he was out there.
I kind of forgot he was the bad guy in that.
Yep. And she does have a bit of a rage moment because of him in what was it, Gardens of Death, or the Garden of Death.
Mm-hmm.
She has a very frustrating moment because she sees both her father and the Master at the same time, and it obviously.
Yeah, I was thinking his appearance, his last actual appearance before this was in the TV series was in Castrovalva, where they thought he had been crushed by the recursion.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it would have been. I think it would have been more satisfying for her if that had been his most recent appearance. But with him appearing in Time Flight, they knew he was out there, and she really had no closure.
Yeah. Okay, so we were on to Whose favorite scene?
Or did mine? Aaron did hers.
That was Aaron, I think.
So that'd be you.
So it was you
I
if you
think
had another one.
My favorite scene, other than the one that was mentioned, was when the Doctor freed the Garm.
Mm.
And he says this, and the Garm just kind of looks up, and the actor actually radiates this like the slow realization that he's no longer a slave to the device. And it's you can actually almost see that going through the Garm's mind. So that's a good scene for me.
If I had watched the episode days ago instead of today, I might have recommended that as an opening overlaid with clips from Aladdin audio. Genie, I wish you free.
Free.
Okay, so least favorite scenes.
That would be
Tim's really basic, so I'll take it. Is that he didn't
Okay.
like it when they gave Turlo Adric's room?
I feel like that scene was kind of unnecessary to me. Like it was, if anything, it was there to give Turlo something to do other than listen to the Black Guardian yell.
Yeah, that scene has a special place in my heart, but only because on the wall of Adric is this map of the universe, and I had that exact same map as a kid. That exact same map on my wall, and that was before I saw this episode.
Collectible, or is it from something else?
No, it was a basic. I don't know. It was like one of the encyclopedia people made it.
Gotcha.
World Book or somebody, or Britannica or somebody did this map of the universe, and we picked up mine, I think, from like Walden Books or something.
Trying to think, what did I have on my wall as a kid? I forget what the other poster was, but I remember the one I always used to have was the poster for the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Really
No,
nice
I just remember seeing this scene when it was on WHA TV and going, "That's my map, Mom. That's my map." So, all right. So, since you're up, Bill, your least favorite scene.
All right, I'm going to say this was part of Tim's general dislike, but this was a specific scene. Why haven't you killed him? I can't find him. Well, that's not an excuse. Like, seriously? Like, just, no. I don't know. And then he's like, you have skills. And I'm like, Turlo has skills? He's never demonstrated a skill before. What are you talking about?
Only
I mean,
skills
other than
so far,
crashing a car.
his only skills so far have been crashing cars, being able to talk the same jargon as the Doctor about space stuff, and be a whiny bitch whenever the little thing lights up in his pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is more of a problem of writing more so than it is the actual character.
All right, Matt. Your least favorite scene.
Least favorite scene. Trying to pick one. I can't really honestly think of one, but I think actually I have an interesting scene. So technically, they have this waiting room for people who recover from the illness after being put up by the radiation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why is the waiting room like barred off and locked like that?
Because the Veneer don't want to go anywhere near the radiation, and they're the ones that are doing the baggage handling.
But why is that door to that particular room barred off like that? It's not necessary on any measure.
Are you talking about the recovery room?
Yeah, where Nissa was kept until the pirate had to break in, and he literally had to break
well, that's
in
because
that door.
it's used to being handled by the Garm, who could frickin' turn that thing like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Remember, he's this big hulking giant dog thing with super strength.
Still, you wouldn't think it'd be that hard if he's using it all the time, but whatever. It still
And this
sparked
was
me
a
as
ship
off.
that was built by these giants. Remember the pilot?
Was he that
So
big,
for
though?
them,
He doesn't seem that
for
big.
them, everything had basically been repurposed from whatever they used the rooms for.
I don't know. It just
So it
felt
just
very off
got
to me.
repurposed as a decontamination room. And remember, Nyssa herself said it was a pretty shitty concept of decontamination.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the decontamination, but yeah.
I don't think I could picture Nyssa calling something shitty.
No, but it was pretty close. All right, Aaron, your least favorite scene.
I think the one with Nyssa chained up and the Garm kind of coming for her and all of our trying to take it on with the laser gun. And once the laser gun doesn't work, he just kind of steps off to the side because I guess there's nothing more he can do. It's just like, okay.
Well, do you want to try and
karate
chop that thing?
Off the innocent girl.
Would you want to try?
Well, what's he gonna do? Try to fight the Garm barehanded?
Well, there's plenty of stuff around there that he could have used against it, but still. Or he could have found a way of getting her out of the chains.
He tried that. It wasn't working.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt... I don't know.
It's just another badly
Do
written scene where
something,
he was
Oliver.
ineffectual again.
So, least favorite scene. Honestly, I don't really have one. I can't think of anything that hits me as particularly wrong that hasn't already been covered. Because, yeah, I feel the whole Black Guardian thing is bad, but I can't pick out one particular scene that seemed worse than the others. Just all really annoying. But for the rest of it, I can't think of anything I particularly disliked. So, no, I'll have to pass on what I dislike. Which is unusual. I try not to pass, but, you know, you've basically covered the basics. All right, so final thoughts.
All right, so that would be Tim. Tim says this episode had great visuals and atmosphere, as well as impressive stakes that were handled well. The science of the story was easily digestible. The only downside was the Black Guardian and the fact that Tegan did not have much to do. My own final thoughts. There definitely was a strong episode in here. Unfortunately, it was buried a little bit under the whole Tegan and Turlough's bits in general. If it was an episode that was set, let's say, before Modern Undead and everything, you know, the baggage from that was cut out, I think it would have been stronger. And it was an effective departure for Nyssa. And I think that's about it. I definitely things I strongly like, but I think there are some things that bury it down a little bit.
All right. Matt?
There are the story itself was actually pretty well done. I just think that there's certain dialogues that could have been enhanced slightly, but also there are certain elements that on execution sadly didn't turn out. But I would argue at the same time that despite these little nitpicks, they are generally just nitpicks, and the story at large is far better than just the major problems that we've been able to point out at.
All right. Aaron?
I really kind of like this one. It's been a while since I've seen it. I felt like Nyssa's departure was well done. I felt the atmosphere was really good, and like I said, I like the sets and the kind of long, winding areas that they depicted. I also actually kind of did like the Black Guardian in this one. I felt he was still fairly intimidating, with his booming voice and whatnot, and his electroshocks to Turlough, which were pretty well deserved.
You're being useless, Zap.
Yep, pretty much.
That's all you have to say about that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, all right. I particularly like this episode. It is one of the few that I have very fond memories of from the era WHA. You do see, and I'm surprised this didn't get touched more, is you do see a touch of sourdism in here, where you have this very gritty feel to everything.
True.
But it really doesn't bother me, considering the choice of subject on this is a giant plague. So it really I loved this episode as a kid, and watching again, I still love it. I can't say really anything horribly bad about it, other than I do feel that that Tegan and Turlough were basically deliberately kind of put into this minor note because of lack of writing, and I blame that on the author more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, aren't you glad Tegan made it back to the TARDIS? Why did Tegan leave the TARDIS? But aren't you glad she's back? Yes, I'm glad she's back. But why did she leave? Because the writer said so.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, I enjoyed everything about the episode, from the sets to the acting to the costumes to the special effects. By the way, the version I saw was a special edition of this, which had enhanced special effects, but still, I remember the classic ones not being that bad either. Okay, so let's go points. I'm looking at the scores, and Tim gave this a 4.5. So, Bill, how about you?
I want to give this a 4, but with the Tegan and Turlough plot, I think it's a little closer to a 3.5.
Ouch.
Which I think is lowballing it a little bit, but I think it's a little closer to that than a 4.
Matt?
I think this could have been easily a 4.5, but I will also agree that Tegan and Turlough having nothing to do with the actual plot was actually a disadvantage to this, so I have to give it a 4.
Aaron?
I like this one, but I think we're going to go with Bill and give it a 3.5.
Ouch.
Ooh, everyone else is being brutal today.
I think this would have been a 5 if it wasn't for Tegan and Turlough, and that's going to knock it down to a 4.5. So there. And averaging all our scores together, we discover that Matt has the correct score, as it is a 4.0 flat. Let me make sure that crossed over to the master sheet correctly. Yes, it did. All right, so now I have to put 2 entries into this. By the way, this puts us up to 158 things that we've reviewed.
How many
Yay.
things have I reviewed on my own shows? I'm trying to think now.
Sure.
I must be closing in on at least 120, if not surpassed it by now.
Well, are you counting the Daredevil vlogs?
Oh, the Ghost Rider vlogs? No, I'm talking about
yeah,
my...
that's what I mean, Ghost Rider.
I mean my
You're
main
just talking
line.
on your main show?
Yeah. The Matt/Malice reviews.
Yep.
Matt managed to make it till 68, I think. So Malice reviews probably is past that by now, so I'm probably getting close to 150 by now at least. I'd have to go back in there and look. Then again, I can't find a listing where everything is unless it's maybe on my external hard drive. Since YouTube is a jerk. Then again, it gives me a chance to re-review things anyways. Make whole new videos and try and make a re-listing of stuff when I have the time.
Give me just one more moment here. Sorry, the fact that we're doing two things at once means I have to do a little bit more surgical work than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
All right, so we wound up with a 3.9 from Gardens of the Dead and a 4.0 from Terminus, which means I can now sort. Yeah, column D, go. And we wind up with these fairly close together. With Terminus coming in at number 67 out of, like I said, 159, and Gardens of the Dead at number 78. So they're both hanging around middle land, with Terminus being slightly better. Terminus is in the same category as Castrovalva, Destiny of the Doctor, Hunters of Earth, Light at the End, Planet of the Spiders, Rose, Stage Fright, Heaven Sent, Torchwood, Everything Changes, Good Man Goes to War, Runaway Bride, Attack of the Cybermen, Vengeance on Varos. So, very good categories. It is below Army of Ghosts, Doomsday, Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death, Mummy and the Orient Express, Death to the Daleks, Under the Lake Before the Flood, State of Decay, Closing Time, Girl Who Died, Brink of Death. And then, of course, it is above Gardens of the Dead, which is also on par with Warrior's Gate, Into the Dalek, Blink, Monster of Peladon, Next Doctor, Chase, and is just above Ghostlight, Enemy of the World, Daleks Invasion 2150, Day of the Daleks, The Red House, Robot of Sherwood. So, still in good company.
Mm-hmm.
And coming in the middle range of stuff, but I think there's going to be...
We haven't hit a lot of the really bad stuff yet. That's why it's middle of the road right now.
We will.
Oh.
Yes, we will. We've got, 2 of the least liked episodes of Doctor Who coming up very soon?
Pretty much.
I think I have the opening for one of them, by the way, and I'll mention it later.
So anyway, that's going to be our finale for Gardens of the Dead and Terminus.
All right, so if you enjoyed listening to us, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to make sure that you keep getting notifications of our videos. You can also like and follow on Facebook and Twitter for news and updates. And if you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast.
All right, next week, Turlo has one last chance to kill the Doctor. But it's not going to be easy for him as the TARDIS lands in the middle of a space race between the mortals, with the prize being Enlightenment by Barbara Clegg and starring Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, and Mark Strickson. And we'll see you then.
Good night.
Good night.
Zug zug.
Good dog.